Dan was a baseball star. In his younger years, he could be considered one of the luckiest men alive. He had it all: wealth, a career, and a glamorous lifestyle. His peak was playing in Major League Baseball for nearly a decade, raking in around $14 million. If the story had ended there, it would have been a perfect happy ending. But life doesn't work that way. After burning through what seemed like a lifetime's worth of luck, the plot twists began. One day, Dan was caught using performance-enhancing drugs, simply put, doping. The result, a suspension. And from that point on, his free fall began. Dan loved making money, but was terrible at keeping it. After leaving the field, his luck soured into misfortune, family conflicts, canceled big contracts, and failed investments one after another. The only thing left with him was persistence and a fierce belief that he'd find another way to make money. In 2013, at age 39, Dan borrowed money from his parents and opened a bar in Nevada. Surprisingly, it was a hit at first. Customers poured in, and he pulled in about $50,000 a month. Dan regained his confidence, thinking this was his big comeback. But good times never lasted for Dan. He turned the bar into his personal playground, partying all night, using drugs, drinking with customers like old friends. Profits disappeared. Debt piled up to the tune of $300,000. Desperate, Dan reached out to the reality TV show Bar Rescue for help. Yet even on TV, he couldn't kick his partying habits. Predictably, within a few years, the bar shut down, leaving nothing but mountains of debt. From here, the story shifted from unlucky to downright dark. Dan and his wife became entirely dependent on her wealthy parents, millionaires who were anything but fond of him. They paid for everything: house, cars, vacations, even IVF treatments, but they saw Dan as a freeloader, and tensions simmered daily. Out of love for their daughter, they still supported the couple, even investing $1.3 million in 2016 for Dan to start a horse farm. By 2021, Dan was 47, still drowning in debt, still fighting with his in-laws over money. Then, during a moment of jokingly saying, "I wish they'd just disappear," a sinister thought struck. If they died, his wife Erin would inherit $23 million, and Dan would finally have it all. The twisted plan took shape. Dan enlisted the help of his mistress Samantha. But here's the shocking part: his affair wasn't even a secret. Dan and Erin had an open marriage, and Samantha was even friends with both of them. Dan lied to Samantha, saying he needed a ride to Lake Tahoe to buy drugs, and she agreed to drive. After 5 hours on the road, they stopped a mile from his in-laws' home. Samantha waited in the car while Dan, wearing a mask, crept toward the house, unaware the cameras were recording everything. He waited. When his in-laws returned, Dan ambushed them. He opened fire. His father-in-law died instantly. His mother-in-law was shot twice in the head, but miraculously survived and managed to call 911, unfortunately. The trauma left her with no memory of that day, with no evidence. The case stalled. Dan thought he had gotten away with it. Luck, he believed, was finally back on his side. But fate struck again. His mother-in-law, though unable to remember, firmly believed Dan was guilty. She removed him from her will, erasing the $23 million fortune he had counted on. When she later passed away in 2023, consumed by trauma, Dan thought his sins had been buried with her. He went back to chasing money. But karma had only just begun. Police tracked phone records placing Samantha near the crime scene. They arrested her, and she confessed everything. Dan was soon arrested and charged with murder, while Samantha pleaded guilty as an accomplice. The public was shocked. Many expected Erin to be the most devastated. Her husband had killed her father and indirectly caused her mother's death. But strangely, she was the only one who stood by Dan, refusing to believe he was guilty. Was this love or blind, irrational devotion? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell me about other unbelievable stories you know.